Hi, I'm Dr. Arsalan and today we are going to discuss about the structure and function of spinal cord. Spinal cord is the most important and vital organ of the body. It is elongated, hollow, cylindrical cable of nerves lying in the neural canal of vertebral column. So spinal cord lies in the vertebral column, the backbone of the body. In the backbone, there is a canal, a space in which the spinal cord is lying. This space is called neural canal. So spinal cord lies in the neural canal of the vertebral column. It's basically the cable of nerves and is made up of neurons. It is hollow, empty inside and elongated. It's lengthy cable of nerves which extends from the brain. So basically spinal cord is the continuation of brain. It extends from the last part of the brain, the medulla oblongata. Anteriorly, it is extended from the medulla oblongata, and posteriorly, it tapers blindly in the vertebral column in between the lumbar vertebrae. So basically, the spinal cord is continuation or extension of the brain. It is part of central nervous system because it lies on the dorsal and central region of the body, just like the brain. So the central nervous system comprises two components, the brain and spinal cord. So spinal cord is the component of central nervous system. Spinal cord is made up of neurons. As the spinal cord is elongated, its length is 18 inches. In an average adult man, the length of spinal cord is 18 inches, while it is half an inch wide. The cross section of the spinal cord reveals this is the cross section of spinal cord. The cross section of the spinal cord reveals the inner gray matter. This is the inner gray matter. It is butterfly like. So the inner gray matter, it is basically made up of neuron cell bodies. The inner gray matter is made up of neuron cell bodies and non-myelinated parts like dendrites. So cell bodies and dendrites, they constitute the inner gray matter of the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord cross section view in which the butterfly like part, this is called inner matter, while the outer part is called white matter. So the spinal cord has inner gray matter and outer white matter. The outer white matter, it is made up of neurons, fibers or nerve fibers like axons and Schwann cells. These are myelinated. So the gray matter consists of non-myelinated components of the neurons and the white matter consists of myelinated component of the neurons. This is the basic difference between the gray matter and white matter. The condition is reversed in the brain. In case of brain, if we see the cross section of brain, so it reveals the inner white matter and the outer gray matter. So the symmetry is reversed in the brain. As the spinal cord is vital and delicate organ of the body, so nature has gifted the spinal cord with three protection mechanisms. The first one is the vertebral column. This is basically the vertebral column, the hard bony framework made up of vertebrae. So there are 33 vertebrae which constitute the vertebral column. Vertebral column has the first region, cervical region, the second is thoracic region, third is lumbar region, fourth is the sacrum, the fused bone, and last one is coccyx or coccygeal vertebra. So the spinal cord, which runs in the neural canal of the vertebral column, it starts from the medulla oblongata or brain and runs in the neural canal of the vertebral column from cervical region to the thoracic region and ends at between the first lumbar and second lumbar vertebrae. Here the spinal cord ends. The basic spinal cord ends between the first and second lumbar vertebrae. There is no basic spinal cord in the sacrum or coccygeal vertebrae. However, the pia mater, the outer cover of the spinal cord, is extending from the sacrum towards the coccygeal vertebrae to affirm or anchor the spinal cord in the vertebral column. So this vertebral column, basically it has 33 vertebrae in human beings. Vertebral formula reveals C7, T12, L5, S5, CO4 is equal to 33. This is called vertebral formula. The vertebral formula can be interpreted as there are 7 cervical vertebrae in human beings, 12 thoracic vertebrae, 5 lumbar vertebrae, 5 fused sacral vertebrae, and 4 coccygeal vertebrae. If we add up these vertebrae, the sum is 33. So there are 33 vertebrae in the human vertebral column. Most oftenly, the students get confused between the spinal cord and vertebral column. Mention it as backbone or spine. But there is huge difference between spinal cord and vertebral column. The spinal cord is continuity of brain, a delicate cable of nerves of the nervous system, which is protected by the vertebral column. For example, if we see the case with the brain, so the brain is the spinal cord, and the skull, the bony skull or cranium which is enclosing the brain to protect it, is the vertebral column. Similar is the case with the brain and skull. So vertebral column must not be confused with the spinal cord. Spinal cord is basically the nervous system, and the vertebral column is the protective skeletal system for the spinal cord. Next is meninges. Inside the vertebral column, the spinal cord is running, which is covered, which is protected again by the nature by a triple layered membrane called meninges. They have Meninges have three layers. The first and innermost is pia mater, second is arachnoid, and third and outermost is dura mater. These three layers, these three layers of the meninges protect the spinal cord, and we will discuss these layers in detail. The last component is cerebrospinal fluid. As its name indicates, it is present in both spinal cord as well as brain. Cerebrospinal fluid. It is present between the pia mater and arachnoid layer of the meninges to protect and safeguard the spinal cord from stress and shocks. So these three mechanisms protect the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, pair of nerves are arising from both sides, on the right as well as on the left side. These nerves are called spinal nerves. So the nerves which are arising from the spinal cord on both sides in the form of pairs, these nerves are called spinal nerves. While the nerves which are emerging from the brain are called cranial nerves. So we are not discussing brain here, we are focusing on the spinal cord. The nerves which are arising from the spinal cord are referred to as the spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Spinal nerves do have the formula like the vertebral column. They have the formula of C8, T12, L5, S5, CO1 is equal to 31. So this is the spinal formula. 8 pairs of spinal nerves arising from the cervical region, 12 pair of nerves emerging from the thoracic region, 5 pairs from lumbar region, 5 pairs from sacral region, and 1 pair emerging from the coccygeal region. So these, if added up, constitute the sum of 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So this is the spinal formula, while the vertebral formula had different notations C7, T12, L5, S5, and CO4 is equal to 33. That was the vertebral formula. And this is the spinal formula. So both of these formula have importance. Parts of spinal cord, as we have stated that the spinal cord runs through the cervical, thoracic and lumbar region. So spinal cord has three parts: cervical, thoracic and lumbar. Spinal cord has three parts, while the pia mater was running through the sacral and coccygeal region. The basic spinal cord was ending between the L1 and L2 are the first two lumbar vertebrae. So the spinal cord has three parts: cervical part, thoracic part and lumbar part. The cervical part of the vertebral column is just behind the neck region. Thoracic is behind the chest region and lumbar is behind the abdominal region. So these are the anatomical configuration of vertebral column. Next is myelitis. Sometimes injuries or infections may occur in the spinal cord and it causes inflammation of spinal cord. The inflammation of spinal cord is called myelitis. So inflammation of spinal cord due to injuries or infections is called myelitis. Now we will discuss the anatomy of meninges of spinal cord. As we have stated that there are three layers of meninges: the arachnoid, dura mater and pia mater. So basically, if we consider this diagram as this is the spinal cord, the central cable which is marked by green lines is the spinal cord. The layer which is just covering the spinal cord, the first layer or the innermost layer, this is called pia mater. The second layer, outer to pia mater, in black lines, this is called arachnoid, the black one, and the outermost layer of the meninges is dura mater. Most inner layer of the meninges is the pia mater. The second one is arachnoid, and the outermost is dura mater. Dura mater is hard and strong layer of meninges for protection purpose. Now there are spaces between these layers. The first one, the pia mater, and the second arachnoid. The space between pia mater and arachnoid, this is called subarachnoid space. Subarachnoid space because it is lying beneath the arachnoid. It is filled with cerebrospinal fluid (CSF), which is the protective cushion of spinal cord. Then between the dura mater and the outer vertebral column, the outer layer is vertebral column or vertebrae. So the space or gap between the dura mater and vertebrae is again filled with adipose tissues, the blood vessels, and these spaces are called epidural space because this space is outside the dura mater, therefore it is called epidural space, and it is important for surgical point of view. Sometimes the surgeon he wishes to desensitize the lower trunk or body or lower limbs of the body, so he uses epidural space for injecting local anesthetic agent. In these epidural spaces, local anesthetics are injected. The local anesthetics may be lignocaine, xylocaine, or lidocaine. These local anesthetics, if injected in these spaces, are called epidural anesthesia. It desensitizes the lower limbs and trunk of the body for surgical intervention. So this was about the meninges. Now the functions of spinal cord. As as the spinal cord is imperative, most important vital organ of the nervous system, it is closely associated with the brain as it is the continuation of brain. So the spinal cord is bridge between the body and brain. It conveys and carries sensory information from the body towards the brain and in turns carry the motor impulses, the commands, the instructions from the brain to the body. All these information are transmitted through the spinal cord. So it acts as bridge between the body and brain. The most of the reflex actions of the body, these are directly controlled by the spinal cord. The reflex actions under the neck region, these are controlled by the spinal cord, and reflex actions above the neck region or head region are directly controlled by the brain. All the activities of body trunk are controlled by the spinal cord. Spinal cord controls the voluntary movements of the body, skeletal movements of the body, as well as it controls the autonomic movements or involuntary movements of the body like heartbeat, like movement of urinary bladder, movement of visceral organs, the movement of gastrointestinal tract. These are all controlled by the spinal cord.